Hi, I'm Don Vallee with the Valley Gold Team in Tucson, Arizona. And today I'm very proud to introduce the guest joining us today. And today we have Mayor Joseph Winfield, who is the mayor of Oro Valley. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for joining us today.
Don, I appreciate the invitation, and I look forward to spending some time with you and to your listeners.
Thank you. And Brian Wilson, our office manager, is joining us today, and he's kind of running things to make sure we don't mess up too badly here doing this.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So the first question I'd like to ask, and I think a lot of people are interested in, we're being deluged today with all kinds of economic, medical stuff from the news media and stuff. And I thought at a macro level, we'd look at Oro Valley. And how has this international pandemic affected us here, day in, day out here in the city of Oro Valley?
Yeah, the pandemic has really affected every part of our lives. And the community has responded, I think, in a very responsible and compassionate way. And what I mean by that is really looking out for each other. Oro Valley is unique to some of our surrounding jurisdictions in the sense that we have an older population. Our median age is well over 50, whereas Marana, city of Tucson, Sarita, there's probably in the mid-30s. And so because this pandemic and COVID-19 has been particularly harmful to those 65 and older, generally with some kind of underlying health conditions, we've been particularly, I think the community as a whole has been mindful of protecting those vulnerable populations. But school ended early and kids went to online studies. So there was that change. Many, unfortunately, businesses either closed of their own choice or because of various executive orders were closed. Barbershops, salons, restaurants, retail outlets. So there was a significant impact, and in fact, it really broke my heart, Don, because just a few months before, I would be attending ribbon cuttings for businesses that would be opening. Sure. And now to walk and among our retail outlets to see so many of these businesses close, it really broke my heart. So that was certainly a change. Schools closing, businesses closing, employers shifting, adjusting to accommodate their employees to work remotely. So where that was possible, many of our employers in Oro Valley, Roche Diagnostics, for example, who's the largest employer, those employees that could began to work remotely, and that was true for other employers, including the town of Oro Valley. So we made that shift where possible. In terms of the town, probably the department that was the most adversely affected was our Parks and Recreation department because of the closure of the Community Recreation Center and the Aquatic Center. Both of those facilities employed up to about 40 individuals, many of those, of course, being part-time lifeguards, individuals that were conducting health and wellness classes. So those closed, and so we lost some of our employees. Are also the transit. We have a transit program that largely is focused around helping individuals, elderly population, individuals with disabilities to get to their doctor's appointments. We actually saw a significant drop off in our ridership with COVID-19. So those are kind of a snapshot of some of the ways that the community was impacted. I think also just the stay home order was a real change because remember, this happened in April. I mean, this is the time where you really want to be out and about. My wife and I had a few different trips planned that were canceled, and I know that there were many others that had similar experiences.
Yeah, we're ahead of the rest of the world. Here in March and April, it's our get outdoors time because it's just still cool and not getting hot yet. And so we really take advantage of getting outdoors that time of the year.
Yeah, and I don't mean to imply when I say that you couldn't go outdoors. In fact, we really encourage people to what I refer to as close to home recreation.
Sure.
Get outside, go for a walk in your neighborhood, go out into the backyard, take advantage of our parks. While some amenities were closed for a period of time, basketball courts and places where you might gather, ramadas and so on and so forth, but the parks themselves were open so that people could walk and recreate.
Well, as they closed all the gyms, I've been a gym person all my life, and as they closed all the gyms, I got a bike, and I can tell you, the biking, hiking trails in Oro Valley have been busy the last couple of months.
You're right, they have been busy. In fact, there was a call earlier today about how to manage the increased numbers of folks who are using the trails.
So you got a traffic control problem now.
Right. Yeah.
Well, how about the future? So Governor Ducey recently here a few weeks ago allowed us to start loosening up and opening up things and opening the economy back up. And so how does this, and we hear the term worn out, the new normal. How does this new normal look in Oro Valley today? How would you say life is coming out? How are we coming out in Oro Valley today?
Well, I think it's important for folks to understand that COVID-19, coronavirus, it's here to stay. As everyone knows, there's not a vaccine. Our greatest weapon, personally, is the physical distancing, staying home if we have flu-like symptoms, wearing a mask as appropriate, and not at this particular moment in time, not congregating in groups greater than 10. So when we talk about this new normal, what I appreciate about Governor Ducey is that there's been this balance between public health and economic recovery, and he's really let the data kind of drive his decisions. And there were really three important gateways, measures that he has looked at, and those aren't unique to Governor Ducey. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are the ones who identified these gateway criteria, and that is, just real quickly, a downtrend in influenza-like symptoms or COVID-like symptoms. We've seen that downtrend now for 3 or 4 weeks, which is very positive. Another is a decrease in either COVID cases or a percentage of positive cases over the number of tests overall. And that's where we've really seen a downtrend, although recently we have seen a little bit of an uptick. The other is hospital capacity. In other words, that there is capacity in our hospitals so that there wasn't an emergency that you've seen in places like Seattle and New York that just didn't have the capacity. So Governor Ducey's managed that very well. And but what has really allowed us to begin to reopen the economy is the citizens' response to physical distancing and wearing a mask and not congregating in large groups. And so this new normal is really kind of working within that framework. We're going to continue to need to do this physical distancing for the foreseeable future. And so the new normal is now when you go to a restaurant, the tables are organized so that there's that physical distancing. The waitresses or waiters are wearing masks. Generally speaking, menus are the paper variety or throwaway variety. So, businesses have really responded, I think, very well, and they understand that their customers, their patrons, need to feel safe, and so they're implementing the safety guidelines, those protocols that CDC has identified. And I think, so that new normal right at the moment, until there is a vaccine, is the physical distancing and washing our hands, not touching our face, wearing a mask again when appropriate, and when we're sick, staying at home. So those are, and Governor Ducey yesterday, or it may have been the day before, announced that he's working to open the schools in the fall. President Robbins of the University of Arizona has, that's also his frame of mind. He hopes to bring back the students in the fall. And so some components of that, this new normal will include more robust testing, contact tracing, excuse me. That means when somebody does have the virus, that they then identify to public health officials, where they've been, who they've been in contact with. Those people are contacted to let them know you've been exposed so that they can be tested. And so there's going to be this whole management of continuing with testing, the contact tracing, and then if somebody does have those symptoms, to just simply stay at home. It's really that simple.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I'd like to, in conclusion, just talk a little bit about the Tucson real estate market, because I'm a realtor and this is a real estate
Sure.
And we have just had our 6th record houses going under contract week. As we look at that graph, the last 6 weeks, it's heading up in a strong direction. And actually, I think 3 or 4 of the last 6 weeks, we've had record houses go under contract. So I think a lot of the things we read in our industry is that housing is going to pull us out of this economic slump, and I think Tucson is leading the pace for that to happen.
I believe that's true, Don. In the Trends Report, I believe it was Forbes magazine, there was an article that identified Tucson as a place where the recovery housing would be a leader.
Yes.
And so as I've talked with the Oro Valley Chamber of Commerce and a handful of realtors, I get a little bit of a mix. Some have said that the buyers and sellers remain active. I've heard the opposite, that there has been a bit of a downtrend. In terms of the town, we really measure the real estate activity in many ways by the number of permits that we issue for single-family residences. And for the past few years, we've been in what we've referred to as the new normal. Oro Valley has gone through various cycles, development cycles, and we're in a more kind of moderate, steady growth cycle of about 300 plus or minus single-family residence permits are issued each year. We're projecting about 1% population growth for the next 5 to 10 years. That's the forecast. And so that aligns well with those number of single-family residences that get issued. But as you go through the town of Oro Valley, you'll see that there's construction is going on, homes are being built, and so I'm hopeful that that will continue. And as you said, that the housing will be a leader in our recovery.
Well, again, I agree with you, and thank you very much for all your time today. I appreciate you joining us. And again, this is Don Vallee with the Vallee Gold Team with Long Realty in Tucson. We thank you for joining us today. Go out there and make it a great day.
Thank you.